Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we have been discussing about this framework in which how we are going to relate our feelings, emotion and thinking mode that affects our behavior, that is influenced from the realm of the spiritual, emotional, mental and physical realm, as we have explained in our model, Positive Islamic Psychology. So what is important is for us to now be able to understand this from the perspective of the totality of how we are going to face this world, so that we can lessen our stress and lessen our anxiety and lessen our sense of depression, because this epidemic of anxiety, depression and mental and psychological imbalance is affecting all of humanity. The more so-called advanced we are in the Western world, the more psychological problems we have. So what is important is now how we Muslims can frame an approach in which our cognitive behavior therapy, which we call it Positive Islamic Cognitive Behavior Therapy Framework, we can achieve peace, reduce anxiety, reduce depression and achieve excellence in whatever we do. We can take up the leadership role of bringing and developing achievers that are totally holistic, because our approach is holistic, not only feelings, emotion, thinking coming from the physical realm. If we study the impact of this feeling, emotion and thinking loop, let's take for example from the physical realm. Our stress responses come from basically the amygdala. We have our pine-sized amygdala on the back of our brain, and it affects the autonomous nervous system, it affects our adrenal gland. So how this circuit takes place is the stress response. Our stress response is always now being defined by, we see, like in the good old days, we see a lion, the lion want to attack us, our adrenal and our autonomous nervous system is being charged through the adrenal gland with the hormone, so that we are ready to run, or we're ready to face, or we are just to play dead. So this whole system now, the input to the stress response, always, if we look at the secular materialistic world, even their scientists, they say, okay, this comes from the physical realm. But in Islam, no. We have a complete, holistic, coherent approach to know that this stress response, especially in the modern world, is no more the lion. It is more the evil of Wall Street, or oppression, or business dealings, or modern slavery, where there is evil of all kind of transaction that is affecting the common man. And that is not because we are having fear of the lion, but now it is more of the evil that we face in terms of the modern stressors, which I can explain to you. That the behavior that of the feelings, emotion and thinking, if it is based on the negative behavior, then we see, okay, for example, like the whole structure of the world today is based on so-called consumption. We are going to consume more, we are to create more millionaires and billionaires, so that they can then lord over us, so that they can buy their private jets, their yachts, their fast cars, whatever it is, regardless of whatever the consequences to the environment, and regardless whatever the consequences to the humanity. For example, even a simple thing like coffee. The production of coffee for consumption of the world today is based on slaves. All right, in Africa, in Latin America, they're using underpaid children to harvest coffee, so that so-called the rich or the super first world countries can enjoy coffee. The same thing with chocolates, the same thing with so many basic commodities that we see today, from diamond to gold to whatever it is. This all based on the blood and the oppression of the ordinary human being. So that system is based on greed, and it will not be sustainable. So that result in stress. Naturally, those people who are slaves, they are living in stress. The stress of having no food, the stress of being forced labor, the stress of sexually abuse, the stress of so many stresses. So those stresses naturally affect them, and that is the situation in which the behavior of humanity at this junction in this world, in the 21st century, is not good towards the development of a holistic civilization based on the realization of the spiritual realm, emotional realm, mental realm, and the physical realm, where we bring together the best of humanity, where we share whatever good that is blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth, and we create the feelings of positive caring, sharing and love, the emotion of caring, sharing and love, and the thinking of how we are going to make this world a better world based on the feelings, emotion and thinking that is consonant with the values of a civilized human being. Because we are no more animals, we are not living in the good old days, we are living in the 21st century where the anxiety and the depression that is facing humanity is because of the meaninglessness in life and the oppression and the injustice that's imposed upon many billions of human beings living in this good planet Earth. So how are we going to overcome that, inshallah, for us to understand back again that if we can develop the stress response to the needs of every human being. For example, if a person is poor, maybe he or she will not have the same stress response of being so stressful every day that they cannot survive, or they being depressed or having anxiety all the time. But if they can accept that this dunya is just a temporary world, that we are living forever and ever in a spiritual realm, that we can develop a sense of shukr, gratitude. It's very important that even at a lower stage of our life, maybe we are not rich, but we have a good life that is consonant with the peace, the blessings, and the feelings of happiness, joy, and success in our limited sense. So what is important, inshallah, if we can then develop this understanding of how the stress response between the amygdala, our autonomous system, and our adrenal gland, and how this hormonal change affects our physical input, we also must again do more research. I'm just giving you an idea here. This is just a framework. We have to do more research. How, at the emotional level of our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through gratitude. Each time, each day we have a rizki that we put into our mouth, we are thankful to Allah. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And we feel the sense of the feeling of gratitude, the emotion of gratitude, and the thinking of constantly with zikr, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. We feel that internally, internalize that. Then we will not be having the anxiety or the depression that is facing most human beings today. And also, we can develop positive behavior for us to achieve peace, happiness, and success in this world and the hereafter. So these are some basic ideas in which I'm trying to propound for us and for all Muslims who are interested in becoming positive Islamic psychology practitioner, as well as positive Islamic psychology coach, as well as other psychologists, how they can integrate this and do more research. This is just a basic thinking that I'm bringing about to help us have some clarity, so that inshallah, by the way of this positive Islamic psychology approach, we can do more research and bring back the great scholarship of our great alim and ulama of the past, who have done many research on human nature and human psychology, and how we can go about achieving the best of this world and the best of the hereafter. Inshallah, see you in the next video.